Hey Kelly, and welcome back. So, travelling the UK on foot whilst we're living our nomadic life, eh? Well, this one's for Adrian. Let's have a look, shall we? We get a lot of emails, typically, or even comments, asking, we're travelling on foot, we want to go and do this, how do you find good woodlands, and all those sorts of things. Well, this video is pretty much dedicated to your comments and your questions as to how to find appropriate places, woodlands such as this. I mean, you can see there's a field on that side. So Adrian basically asked in the email, as have you before, how do you choose a location? How do you keep low profile? How do you select a woodland or a safe place of passage when you're on the move? Well, I thought I'd do a video about it because a lot of the time, you don't know where to start. You don't know where to go, what things that we might employ. Well, some of the things that we employ is Google. Google is your friend. I'll leave it up here because Google Maps, when you zoom in and zoom out, you can see woodlands, you can see areas close to roads, all those sorts of things. And if you remember from our frequently asked questions video, if you remember from there's things like the land registry, so you can see if anyone's actually registered that land, or even land that isn't registered, because it's down to them to prove it. And if it's not registered, they've got to pay the £2,000 to get it registered to say, get off my land. Fair enough. So when we're traveling about, as I've just mentioned, Google Maps. Now, Google Earth is also another good one, because that will show, you can do all the 3D stuff and you can move the map around and see if you're on ledges. Now, ledges typically, or slopes, sometimes we've had to dig in or just to level it off a little bit. Because as I've mentioned before, that if you're sleeping in an uncomfortable position, the next day you've got to be on the move again. And then the following day and the following day. I mean, very much like Adrian's email. He's on the move. He's doing like a survival week of moving around, moving one place to the next, just to see if he can, I think. I don't know, Adrian. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything more than that, and anything else we might be able to help out with. But typically, yeah, if you're moving through this sort of area or looking for this sort of area, there's Dog, there's Tara. If you're looking for this sort of area, I wouldn't worry too much about foreign travellers and things like that going through the woodlands. We never see anyone. Most of the time we never see anyone. And if you want to go and scope out an area, like if you've got a house and a car and you want to do these things, like GeoWizard does, he will plan the route, look out for the route. This is the time scale, A to B. Now, what we always like to do is we will get to a location, say 2.5 hours before sunset. Now, if it is one of those moments, we've got an hour to scope out the area, an hour to cook, and then half an hour to put up your tent. Depending on how well you know your gear and your setup and all that jazz. It just makes life a little bit easier. But if you know your location and you are there on time, try and cook away from the area that you want to stay. So for instance, in here, we're like over that way somewhere. But yeah, in here, what you typically want to do is not cook here, because you're going to send up smoke signals, or even if you've got one of those canister things, we don't use them. Well, with that, it makes a lot of noise and you're sending out a smoky beacon, anything like that. So, for instance, there's a field there. I would go right over the other side and cook there. There's a car park over that way as well. I mean, if you're literally on the move and you're meeting up with somebody just to resupply and stopgap and things like that, literally cook your provisions in the car park. Fill your belly up before you put your tent up. Sleep. When it's winter, the nights are getting longer, the days are getting shorter. So in winter, yeah, it's going to start getting dark about 4 o'clock. and then about 5 o'clock it's pitch dark. If you know your setup, you can set up in the dark, you'll be absolutely fine. But if you don't, set up a little bit earlier and just keep an eye out. Also remember that if you're in a new area, a new location, or you're scoping out an area, look out for dog walkers. What are the locals like? Are they going to get really upset because you're there with a backpack and you're looking for somewhere to wild camp? You're trying to nestle in? Just ask them, is there any good areas for wildlife watching? Is there any good areas for sunrise, sunsets, things like that? Just make yourself look a little bit touristy. Be polite, be thankful. All those sorts of things. It will really help you out. But also, much like in here, there's not that much fly tipping around. Fly tipping or previous campers leaving all their crap everywhere. It's a good sign. You know it's not heavily trafficked. You know that you're going to get a fairly reasonable night. And also in the winter months, because those nights are longer, no one goes out in the dark. People are too scared to go out in the dark. I know I've always been scared of the dark, for instance. It's just an innate thing, I can't get rid of it. Your eyes play tricks, your ears play tricks on you in the dark. It's one of those things. And sometimes it's just about having the cojones to get in, get your head down for the night, get up in the morning before any sort of activity and early dog walkers and things like that. Get out, job done. If it means that you've got to have your breakfast on the road, I mean, sometimes if we're on the move, we'll make a coffee, put the lids on, and then walk with it, or go for a nice sunrise. I just found some chicken of the wood over here as well. What a bonus. Look at that. Lovely jubbly. It seems good, it seems firm, it's not cracking. Another part for dinner, eh? So yeah, to clear up, simple things. Google is your friend. Follow Google, have a look at those maps. If there's any close pathways, stay away from them. Get in a lot further, a lot deeper. Use the locals, use the knowledge, use your eyes and ears. What can you hear, what can you see? If people are walking around and it's quite a heavily trafficked area, stay away or just go in a lot deeper, a lot deeper. Because you will, as long as you're low profiling, you're not sending out smoke signals, you're not blasting out music and having Blackpool bloody illuminations in the woods, you'll be laughing. You will absolutely be laughing. And sometimes, like I've said to people, Tara has the biggest pair of cojones I've ever known in most blokes. And sometimes I get a bit imposter syndrome, I guess. I get a little bit angsty, and all of a sudden Tara turns around and says, fuck it, let's just put up. We're only here to sleep, and then we're out again, we're on the move. So in regards to that sort of thing, sometimes you just got to do it. Look at her, she's tiny and little, and she's got big ones. Laughing away. What would you say about this, babe?
I guess, what's the worst that's going to happen is the way I look at it. People aren't going to come and beat me up. They're just going to say, you're not supposed to be here, can you move? Yeah, okay. I mean, it's always going to be the same answer. Unless it's deep at night, which is going to be like I say, no one's ever moved us on anyway because we're quite good at what we do. But even if someone came deep at night and said that, you can't be here, I would move. I'd be prepared to move. However, it's not going to stop me from trying to negotiate. It's just, I take it as what's the worst that's going to happen kind of approach. No one's killing me because I'm here. No one's going to be, they're only going to be aggressive until they see this cheesy grin, right? And then that's it. And be polite, be smiley. Even if they're coming at you with hostility, I'm sorry, mate, I really weren't here to upset anybody. Just, keep him for the night and then we're moving on, sort of deal. I guess the real worry for people is nowadays there's a lot of homeless people that are just taking up residence in local woodlands. And I guess that's their fear. So as long as you squash that fear and they know that you're not there to stay, you're not doing any ground fires and you're all safe and tickety-boo, no one's going to have a problem with you at all. Just stay low-key.
And that is it. I mean, obviously, being ex-forces, suffering with anxiety and agoraphobia in the past and things like that, I've always been a little bit dubious. I've always had a low profile bivvy, my tiny little 2 metre by 1 metre tarp that I would just cover in by and keep that low profile in the side of a hedge sort of thing, or little nooks and crannies in the middle of nowhere. And obviously when I met Tara, it was all fun and games, and you're having a nice time, and then reality starts to sink back in again. So I was like, oh, I'm getting a bit angsty about that. I'm getting a bit dubious. Those people back in town looked at us a dodgy way, and all of a sudden that puts the fear of doubt in you, and your craft and your skills and your knowledge, or what you might want to do, depending on what mission you're on, really, doesn't it? That if that is the case, it is about just trying to wind it back in, remind yourself, like Tara said, what's the worst that could happen? And that is one of the things. What is the worst that can happen? We've been shot at. Not directly, but we've been shot at, or we've been in the vicinity of people shooting that didn't know we were there. So we've had to shout and whistle and blow and run away and bang pots and throw around high vis and everything else. And they haven't stopped. We haven't seen them. They haven't seen us. They've most definitely heard us like we've heard them. But we just moved on down the way, set up again. Well, no, we didn't even set up. We were cooking dinner, so we were cooking away from where we wanted to set up. Luckily, we weren't set up. Otherwise, we would have had to have moved all of our gear, packed it down, move on. Just always best to wait until that dusky sort of hour that you go, I'm safe. Everything tends to go quiet. Everyone seems to calm down. You get the last of the few dog walkers that might be about, but they're not interested. In fact, in this very woodland, a dog went missing, and you could hear them shouting out to the dog, and I'm like, okay, those voices are getting closer. And Tara wasn't around at the time. I think she was away somewhere, but it was getting closer and closer, and I'm like, oh no, I'm going to get busted just because they're looking for a dog. And with that, I saw the dog, I shooed it away, or you kind of got to play things sometimes. Go, oh, I found your dog, I'm over here, I'll come to you. Don't see my setup, leave it behind, leave it in the dark, leave it in the bushes. And I walked out with their dog, and they're like, oh, thank you ever so much. Oh, what were you doing in there? I went, oh, I heard you shouting for your dog, so I came in from the other side. White lies aren't hurting anyone. Burning trees, ground fires, being a belligerent, self-entitled arse will push people away, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. But if you're trying to stay low profile, enjoy your time, do what Adrian said. This survival 7-day walk, don't be put off by it. Have a look at all these different people that do videos of wild camping on roundabouts or in these really weird, obscure places. And obviously I mentioned GeoWizard because he's literally doing these straight line missions and he's not getting busted. Also, if he needs to cross a sticky farm, go and ask for permission. If somebody's got a woodland, and it isn't far-fetched, we've done it before. If you know someone with a woodland, or there is a woodland with a farmhouse in that area, I mean, we've asked to stay in people's big back gardens. They've had acres and acres, just so we can recoup and off we go again. But sometimes they've turned around and said, I've got a little bit of a woodland down by the waterway and things like that. You can stay there if you want, just don't have a fire, please. Sometimes it is that simple. If you don't ask, you'll never know. And what's the worst they can say? No. Okay, thank you very much. Catch you later. We've knocked on people's doors for water when we've been on the road. We've been so parched, and we've had to knock on a door. And 99% of the time, people are kind, people are nice. And they'll go, yeah, sure. There's either a tap round the side, I'm on my way out, use that outdoors tap, anything like that. People are very giving and very forgiving. And like Tara says, if you can greet someone with a smile, if you go, oh, sorry, I didn't realise, I literally came in off the path, there was no fence there, you're not breaking and entering, you're not trespassing. If there's a fence down, or, well, like in here, there is no sign of a fence, if that's your go-to, if that's what's presented to you, take it. And be honest with the owner. I mean, because of our odd jobbing and our lifestyle, there's been many a time we haven't been busted. We've been seen coming out or in and out of a woodland, and it turns out it was the owner, and they've said, you know, you're not supposed to be in there. And we're like, oh, sorry, mate, the fence was down. We're not inevitably trespassing. We didn't know if the land was owned by anyone. However, we odd job. So if you want a hand, we can help you fix your fences and all that lot. And all of a sudden you start to spark conversation. You start to, you know, trust building exercise, as it were. And the landowner gets to know you. They get to see what you're about. Obviously, don't say you're camping in their woodland. They don't really like that. But it's just it's another avenue, isn't it, that you can facilitate to help. And if that means that you spare a few of your hours, be that when you come back or whilst you're in that area, you know, by helping them out, basically what you do is you stop other people coming in, and you know that area is safe for you again and again and again. And you never know, the landowner and you might become friends. What more can you ask for, right? So yeah, in regards to your question, Adrian, I would say grow a pair. No offence. Grow a pair. Be bold. Be polite. Use Google Earth. Do your cooking on a track or away from your camp. And yeah, just be respectful. Put a smile on. A little bit of tongue in cheek, a little bit of charisma goes a very, very, very long way. And also, if you want to stay in an area for a longer period of time, you know, do check out that video, How to Stay Undetected, our 20 top tips. We've got a part 2 coming out soon. It's always a really good sort of thing to brush up on. I know some people have said, oh, well, how are you going to stay away from thermal and how you stay away from night vision? Well, we've already proved you can disappear with the night vision. We do have a video coming out in regards to heat-seeking thermal imagery, and we'll basically show you in that video how to disappear very quickly as well. I think we've got it to about 15 seconds. But if you are interested in finding secret camp spots and anything like that, check out this video next. It'll be a really good one for you. It's no nonsense, simple and straight to the point. And remember, be respectful, have fun, Google's your friend, and yeah, go check it out. Until next time, happy hopping.